6-7, solving radical equations and inequalities. So just like it says, it's all about solving radical inequalities and equations. Let's just get to it. So step 1, so we're going to try to solve for radical right there. And step 1 is always isolate the radical. Try to get that by itself. So isolate the radical on one side of the equation is the first step of what we're going to do. And then what we're going to do is we're going to raise these sides to the equal index, whatever that says. All it says is do the opposite power. So if I have like the 4th root of x equals 2, we're going to take the 4th power to both sides. So x is equal to 2 to the 4th. Likewise though, don't get scared if you see like a fraction power. If that equals 3, what we're going to do is take the opposite reciprocal power to both sides. So we take the 4/3 power to both sides. That way over here they cancel out. You can just get x equals 3 to the 4/3. And then anyway, after you do that, you solve the resulting problem and check your results. That's going to come in kind of big here. So you do definitely have to check your results. Anytime you have a wrong result, we call that extraneous solution. And that will happen. We'll talk about when it happens the most. Anyway, so the first one. Alright, let's try to get the square root by itself. So we're going to subtract 6 from both sides. Square root of x minus 4 equals 4. We're going to get rid of the square root, so we're going to square both sides. X minus 4 equals 16. And then we're going to add 4 to both sides. X equals 20. Again, we just check our work. Plug in 20. You get 20 minus 4 is 16. Square root of 16 is 4. 4 plus 6 is 10. It works. Next one, same idea. Let's try to get this by itself. So subtract 5. Square root of x minus 8 equals 2. We're going to square both sides to get rid of the radical. X minus 8 equals 4. And then let's add 8 to both sides. X equals 12. And again, you always want to check your work. Plug in 12. Square root of 12 minus 4. 8 is 4. Square root of 4 is 2. 2 plus 5 is 7. Next ones are cube roots. Do the exact same idea. Let's cube both sides. Get rid of that cube root. X minus 2 equals 27. Add 2. X equals 29. Again, you can check. 29 minus 2 is 27. Cube root of 27, 3. Same idea here. This is try to get this by itself. I know it looks different, but that's the exact same thing as writing that. Right? Cube root and 1/3 power are the exact same thing. So let's try to get that by itself. X minus 5, so 1/3 equals 6. Now here's again, this way you do reciprocal power, 3 to both sides, 3rd power to both sides. These cancel. X minus 5 equals 216. Supposed to know that. Add 5. X equals 221. More problems. Let's just do this one really fast. So plus 6, cube root of n plus 8 equals 3. Cube both sides. N plus 8 equals 27. Minus 8, n equals 19. Again, check your work, plug it in, square root, you get 27, cube root of it, it's 3. 3 minus 6 is negative 3. So it does work. Next one. So here, again, we want to get this by itself, let's subtract 2. 4z to the 1/2 equals negative 2. Divide by 4. Z to the 1/2 equals negative 1/2. I gotta square both sides. Get rid of that 1/2 power. Z equals 1/4. Don't forget to check our work. Let's plug the 1/4 back in. I'm gonna get, let me do a different color. 2 plus 4 to the 1/4 1/2 equals 0. Again, we do this first. Power goes first. So 1/4 to the 1/2 power. That's the same as saying the square root of 1/4, which is square root of 1 and square root of 4. So that's just going to be 1/2. And then I get 4 times that, so it's 2 plus 2 equals 0. If you notice, that doesn't work. So this is an extraneous solution. No solution here. If you know why, if you want to know why it happened on this one, what's the difference between this and the other ones? Right here. We squared a negative. That's always going to cause problems. If you square a negative, you have a positive now. Square rooting doesn't get you a negative value. So that's really want to make sure you check your solutions. If you square a negative, you want to make sure the answer works. Anyway, get into this, and people get freaked out, like, "Oh, what do I do here?" This is the easiest one in the book. You just square both sides. That cancels out that radical, that cancels out that radical, and now we have a normal problem. Hey, it's like we're in chapter 1. Subtract t from both sides, plus 7. I get t equals 9. You can check your work, plug 9 to both. I get 8t minus 7 is square root of 11. 9 plus 2 is 11, square root of 11, so it works. Okay, let's talk about inequalities. Now, inequalities may be a little bit different. There's a new step for the inequalities. Very similar to when we did inequalities earlier. If you remember, step 1 was iso, the square root. Step 2 was to take the power, both sides, and then 3 was solve. Step 0, I'll call it, is find a domain. That's going to change our answer a bit. So step 0, we're going to find our domain. Now, if you remember how we do domain with square root fractions, with square roots, domain is always whatever thing is a square root has to be greater than or equal to 0. That's how you find a domain. Right? It's all about fractions. If it's a fraction, you can't divide by 0. If it's a square root, it has to be greater than or equal to 0. Anything else is all real numbers for now. So if I was doing this problem, I step 0. First thing I'm going to do is find a domain. So I'm going to set that part greater than or equal to 0. So I get b is greater than or equal to 7. That's my domain. And now we just solve it like normal. Subtract 6 from both sides. B minus 7 is less than or equal to 6. Square both sides. B minus 7 is less than or equal to 36. Add 7. B is less than or equal to 43. So here's the problem. This is why we have to do domain. So this is saying b is less than 43 is your solution. That's not all the way right, because if I plug in, like, let's say 1 in here, I get a negative radical, and I can't have that. That's why it's a combination of your solution plus the domain. So this is saying that you're at 43, you're less than it. This is saying you're at 7, and you're greater than it. So where's my answer? The overlap. You're in between 43 and 7. That's the answer. B has to be between those two values. Now, you know the graph I just did so you can see it better? You can kind of tell from here. It says greater than 7 but less than 43. So just put that in a complete sentence. So you want to be greater than 7 but less than 43. So you're in between 7 and 43. So a couple more. Practice that. Again, I see an inequality. If you see an inequality, you have to think domain. So you take that. My domain is 3x plus 6. Has to be greater than or equal to 0. Can have negative radicals. Subtract 6. X has to be greater than -2. And then we're just going to solve it like normal. So let's subtract 2, subtract 2. 3x plus 6 has to be less than or equal to 3. Square both sides. 3x plus 6 has to be less than or equal to 9. Subtract 6. 3x is less than or equal to 3. Divide by 3. X is less than or equal to 1. So we're less than or equal to 1, but we're greater than -2. So x is between those two. It's less than 1, but greater than -2. That's our answer for that one. So another one. So here, I got 7x minus 3 greater than or equal to 0. Great. Remember, that's my domain. Now, domain is always greater than or equal to. Right? I know here has greater than. Domain is always greater than or equal to. So we solve it. 7x is greater than or equal to 3. Divide by 7. X is greater than or equal to 3/7. Like that. And then we got to solve like normal. Subtract 1, subtract 1. 7x minus 3 is greater than 2. Square both sides. 7x minus 3 is greater than 4. Plus 3, plus 3. 7x is greater than 7. Divide by 7. X is greater than 1. Now this one's a little different. Let's graph this one so you can see it. Because we have greater than this time. So we have 1. I am greater than 1. And we have 3/7. That's less than 1. So over here. And we're greater than or equal to 3/7. So they're both going the same way. Now, if you remember the way we do it, and they both go the same way, and it's an AND statement. So again, it's the same thing. Overlap. So it's your answer is only x is greater than 1. Because it'll be both greater than 1 and greater than 3/7. That only happens when you're greater than 1. So when you're going basically when you solve and it's a greater than sign, all you have to worry about is that part. And that's the lesson.